Good day, Dr. Toyin. How are you
Hey,
doing today?
I'm doing great.
Welcome welcome to another series of Core Skills series with Dr. Toyin. My name is Nicola Lunge, and how is everyone doing? Because I guess we have not really been on board for a couple of weeks now, but we are back and better. So today we are going to be having a lot of conversation around children because this is the holiday period and almost all the teenagers, even some universities are on their holiday season and period. So we are going to be having communication discussion, and today's topic is communication between parents and children. Are you really communicating with your children? Are you talking to them? Are you just talking and not listening? Is it just that you're talking, you're not listening to your children? So that is going to be the center of today's conversation. Let's start from what is communication, Dr. Tony?
Mm. So communication is what a question. First off, good morning, Bukola. Good morning, audience, and it's great to be back. The April series promises to be something very exciting. You know, Bukola and the way she will ask questions that went to Harvard, but yeah, always here to, answer those questions. So I will start by saying communication is simply the ability to ensure that the message you're passing across is received in the manner that you want the receiver to have it. It is less of ambiguity, more of simplicity, and most importantly, being able to pass your message across in a clear, concise, and appreciable manner. So it is more about the process between the sender, the receiver. Yeah, there are other factors, external factors around it, noise, misunderstanding, level of reasoning, perspective, frame of reference. So don't let me take you too far, but it's basically being able to convey your message in such a way that whoever is receiving it is able to receive it the way you want it to be heard. So oftentimes I tell people that communication is not about you, it's about the person receiving your message, which is your audience in whatever situation you may find yourself. Thank you.
I love that. Communication is really a broad topic, and it is not about you talking, it's also about who you are talking to, how the person is receiving it. And this is why we are having this conversation around children, around teenagers, and around even the young children, because as little as 2-year-old child, if you're not communicating well with he or she, you might feel, oh, this child is stubborn, this child is not even answering me, what's going on? So it is something that you have to know that communication is not just you talking, is also the other person receiving what you are saying. Is the person getting it? So I love the fact that I said it is also the audience you are talking to. Your child can be your audience at that time. Okay, Dr. Toyin, I want you to talk about how do parents communicate with children, because most times you feel, oh, I'm talking to this child is stubborn, you are not listening to me, I'm saying this, you are doing another thing. How can a parent, especially new age parents now, the Gen Z parent, how can they communicate with their child and also even listening to the child and getting the importance of the communication? Because if the child is not getting you, you are not communicating.
Yes, so thank you so much for that question. Now, it is interesting to note that from the moment a child is being given birth to, imagine giving birth to a child and the child doesn't cry. What happens? The entire hospital, we go awry. So a child crying is the first sense of communication that a parent cherishes. Like everybody's excited. In fact, in our climb, when the child does not cry, what happens? We begin to beat the child to be sure that
Yeah.
this child is really alive, not that it's a stillborn or something. So if we value that so much, that is
Mm.
to say that at that very beginning, we paid attention. Yeah. Then moving forward, as the child begins to, so, the parents leave the hospital, you take the child to the house, and then the child is being taught how to breastfeed because that's the survival instinct. Yeah. Um, as a parent, there was a way you had to communicate non-verbally to have to bring the
Mm.
child to bear to say, this thing you have to suck it to so that you can survive and live. And then we begin to move towards when the child then begins to, day in, day out, sleep, cries, wake up. And at some point, you're like, the truth is, when you just give birth, especially as a mom, you're overwhelmed. Yeah. And then you begin to say, okay, let me begin to get one or two things together. And little by little, not that you are being wicked or anything, you begin to have to sort out some stuff, especially if you don't have a lot of help and maid around you. You begin to then give other people the children to hold for you at some point. That's also communicating. What are we communicating to the child at that point? It's care. Yeah.
Mm.
Now you then have to maybe start doing some other things, and the child realize, oh, nobody is with me. Mommy is somewhere, and then the child cries again. And then what happens? You quickly rush. But when the child begins to grow, sometimes the child will cry. You say, please, you'll be all right. Probably you are doing something urgent and all of that. I'm just trying to let us know
Yeah.
that we are born to communicate. It is an instinct that is inbuilt from in each and everyone because we are all once babies. Yeah.
Mm.
So what does this really imply? As parents, as we begin to grow, um, pardon me, as our children begin to grow, we then have to start become, we need to start become, to choose to become more intentional about communicating with our children because the truth is life gets busy, a lot of priorities get to come in, and oftentimes, let me even interest you, a child's brain is not well developed until the age of 21. So that means that you have more responsibility to understand how the child communicates. Oftentimes, the child's communication is going to be incomplete, it's going to be incongruent, it's going to be uncohesive, really
Mm.
because the child's brain has not yet fully developed. So, your capacity to be able to have insight into brain development, child growth is very critical. It cannot be overemphasized, but it is a skill that can be learned, right? It is a skill that can be learned. And I'm so excited because at Koskis Transformational Academy Limited, we have actually written 4 series of ebooks. Communication skills for adults, which you as the
Mm.
parents must get. Communication skills for teenagers, that is, you get it for your teenagers so that your children just can start learning how to communicate. Like I said, it's a skill. Communication for school age children. These are children in elementary years or primary school, depending on where you're watching or listening this from. And we also have preschoolers. Yes, preschoolers. I mean, that's so amazing. So what we actually did, I didn't write for all the ages. I had specialists, people that are certified to teach these age groups to be able to get the requisite skills, life skills. They were the ones that co-authored these ebooks with me. I only authored for adults, and I think it's going to be a game changer. Over to you, Bukola.
Okay, Dr. Toyin, before we go to go into some of the books, because that is something about core skills, we don't just talk, we also offer help and offer available materials for you to read. And so I'm still going to discuss on the ebooks we have on communication for different age range. Dr. Toyin, what are the common mistakes that parents do when communicating with their child?
Okay, I believe you can hear me. Can you
Yes,
hear me?
very well.
Oh,
Yes.
fantastic. All right. The first mistakes that parents do when communicating with their child or their children is assumption. Yeah,
Mm.
assumption. And it's not even just about communicating with children. Generally, when it comes to communication, we assume a lot, and that is where the place of clarity must be. You just have to be intentional about clarity. Sometimes we don't even listen for what is not being said. So, one of the ways in which I get clarity when I'm communicating is to throw back the question or rephrase the question to say, what exactly are you trying to communicate? That way you gain clarity. That way the flow of the conversation will then be um, quite seamless and a lot more conversational, interactive, and you get the best out of the conversation.
Yeah.
Yes. So the first thing we need to really, really get clear about is assumption. Because when you get communication is a very powerful skill because it will help to resolve so many problems. In fact, one of the greatest problems we have in our world is miscommunication. So assumption is something that we all have to, because we judge people by their actions, we judge ourselves by our intentions. I'll take
Yeah.
that again. We judge people by their actions, we judge ourselves by our intentions. But the other person doesn't know your intention because the other person is in you and can't see
Yeah.
through you. So
Yeah.
I think let me stop there for now.
Okay, I love that. Let's drive straight into children communicating. Now we have the non-verbal and the verbal children, in the sense that I'm not even saying some that can't talk. I'm saying some that does not even know how to communicate. You know, some children are very, I won't say, I don't want to put it in the shy box, but some children can't really communicate with them, like communicate with their parents or even say what they want. And some are the talkative, the loquacious children. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Now I want us to now dive straight into that part of children. Now, how do you handle a child that talks too much? I won't say too much because I was once in that category. I know why growing up, say, because I talk too much. But my mom didn't make me feel that she's even one of the
Mm.
person I communicate with every time. And I
Wow.
started to get used to it that, oh, maybe this is like a passion for me. So because I have somebody that was able to understand me, that, oh, it's not like she talks too much, this is what she loves doing, and let's channel her energy to that. But some child, they talk so much, and the parent is someone that does not even like talking. Hey, oh, shut up. Even when the child was, oh, shut. And there are also some child that can't even say what they have to say. They are very shy. They are I don't know, they are just too quiet in some cases. How do we help a child that talks too much, and also, oh, these are what you're supposed to say, these are what you're not supposed to say? Because sometimes when you talk too much, you over talk. Some children can just say anything, even this family secret is already out, but why talking? And there are some that are not talking because they are shy or they are timid, and it's even affecting them, is making them to be bullied, because in this part of the world you have to talk. If you keep quiet, people can just rage bait you, and that is it. So how can we help a child that seems to some people that they talks too much, and also a child that does not talk, does not communicate as much as he or she supposed to do? I hope
Okay.
you get that
Yes,
question.
yes, I do. I do. So you're trying to compare children on two extreme spectrums when it comes to
Yes,
communication. Some
yes,
are highly introverted, they are not really outspoken. And then we have other people on the other extreme that they're like, okay, so in what ways can we bring them to balance? Yeah. The child
yes,
that is very reserved, conservative, how can we make such children be a bit more assertive, outspoken, and probably relational or social? And then for the child that, is like all out, how can we then help the child to be able to not necessarily downplay their personality, but be able to channel it to have um, know when to talk, when not to talk, and all of that. Yeah?
yes,
Are we on the same
yes,
page? Okay.
yes.
Okay, so like you said as well, in fact, while I was growing, I had a nickname called Obeje. And Obeje is like somebody that the life of the party, in Yoruba, is like somebody that everybody knows, everybody sees, and everybody hears. So of course, at some point, life happened and all of that. But just like you, I didn't actually get someone that could spur me on, but I just knew that I had a voice, somewhere in my head. To answer your question, I would necessarily say that the first thing is just let the child be, sincerely, because the innocence of a child is very powerful. As an educational psychologist, one thing I've come to um, know or learn in my course of growing and learning is that the first 6 years of a child is very critical because that's like the formative age, you know. We call it the sensory motor, using the professional term. And just let the child be. It may sound weird and all of that, but that's just the truth. Now, remember what I said, that a child's brain is not really fully developed until the age of 21. So the more you're trying to, maybe either cop the child or force the child, you are trying to push them out of their natural state. And that can be very disastrous. Rather, you want to use care, affection, understanding. You want to use deep connections to help this child come up with their authentic identity. What you just shared right now is what I'm experiencing within my two kids. You know them. One is extremely assertive, like he will give you as it is, while the other one is really introverted. So I think they took after my personality and that of my husband. And let me interest you. As they grew older, guess what? The very quiet one cherishes personal time with me. So once she says, "Oh, mom, let's take a walk," or once he want to say something, I just have to leave everything just to give him that attention. So it requires a lot of intentionality, and guess what? He gets to tell me very deep stuff. So it's not as if the introverted person doesn't talk, because that is another myth I want to break. What happens is that they get more of their energy being alone. If you see an introverted person talk about what they love, you will be shocked at the sparks in their eyes, the the turn, they will raise it, they'll be excited, and you're wondering, but I thought this person does not talk. So everybody actually communicates. I mean, especially when it comes to speaking and all of that. But introverts get more of their, energy and more of their they just love it, from
Mm.
drawing strength from within. While extroverts, if we, like I say we because that's the group I belong to. If we do not see people, like it's like we are gonna run mad or something. But guess what? I also cherish time alone, because if I don't have time alone, and if I have not cultivated my me time, I wouldn't have this depth. Have you ever thought about that?
Mm.
So I cherish my time alone because that's the time I have to think, that's the time I have to reason, that's the time I have to take stuff in, to experience the beauty of who I truly am. I would not have been a mentor or a coach if I did not also intentionally cultivate moments of silence, of quiet. So, like I said, especially when they are still formative. Well, over the years, you can then start having conversations with them around, what do you think about this? So just more of power of questioning to help shape and help them, you know, secure some form of balance. And
I love that. I
yeah,
love that.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
I love that because another thing I was able to get from what you said is that sometimes you just allow children to just be themselves sometimes, not all times, because you also have to guide them. As you said, a child or a young child start getting more developed mentally, physically around the age of 21 and above. But you see, from that 6 to 19, you might feel, oh, I'm already big, I'm this and that, but you are still getting to know yourself. And the guidance of your parents is helping. So I love the fact that you said, let them be, and also guide them when needed and have conversation.
true.
I love this discussion so much because communication is key. communication is key. Even in the world we are today, you have to communicate, you have to talk, you have to have conversation with people and say, oh, this is what I'm trying to say. Let me understand from your own perspective. So, and your children to have conversation with them. Thank you, Dr. Toyin, for those breakdown. And I know people are getting a lot from that. Okay, let's drive straight into now. How do you talk to your child? Because now we've talked about the communication. Let them do this. Oh, listen to them, understand from their own perspective. But how then do you talk? Because communication is not only conversation. This is also how you talk, your tone, your body language. There's a lot concerning communication, and that's why I'll recommend people to go and check out the communication skill guide. It's an ebook, and we are this is Easter period, so there is an offer. The offer lasts to the end of this week, I guess, and just for 2,000 naira, you get this communication guide, because communication is not only conversation. It is also body tone. It is also it's also your body language, your tone, your facial expression. So, Dr. Toyin, how can a parent talk to their child? Because sometimes African parents, we even use our eyes. Them don't say we even, because I'm not doing that for now, but they even use their eyes to talk to my mom. When we are going there, my mom will just look at you like do what to do. That you stand up, that you do something, you just understand that language. But as a child, you might be having conversation and you'll be like, oh, mom, you're raising your voice at me. And you might not even think you're raising your voice because you just feel that high. So as a parent, how do you communicate with your child, especially both genders? Because I don't want to discriminate now both genders, even as a male gender, as a female gender. How do you communicate? How do you use your body language to communicate and not seem as if you are aggressive? Because children can also think, oh, the way you are shouting at me, you are being aggressive. And
Yeah.
children of nowadays, and the technology era is a lot.
Okay.
I must say. So, Dr. Soyin, how do you communicate to your child? How?
Okay, so I'm sure we're about rounding up, but to answer this question, which
Yeah.
most likely will be the second to the last question, is number one, I would say that communication, cuts across four areas, which has to do with speaking, listening, reading, and writing. Okay,
Mm,
so talking about, I think more of what we've been talking about generally is the speaking aspect. The first thing is listen to your child.
mm,
Listen. Listening is so powerful. And somebody said that probably that's the reason why God gave us two ears and one mouth. Um, the Bible, because I'm a Christian and I'm not ashamed of the gospel, says that you need to be slow to speak, quick to hear, slow to get angry. Listen. A lot of parents don't listen because we feel, I give birth to you. What do you mean? Yeah.
mm.
And I know that there's a lot of pressure. Life is hard. Parents are dealing with a lot of stuff. That's just the
Yeah.
truth.
Yeah.
But did you know that you can actually cultivate? I remember there was a time I enrolled in a school of parenting, and the Intentional Parenting Academy, and we had to do something called the Yelling Challenge. So that was when I knew that there was a yellow meter. That's like an instrument you can use to measure your yelling level as a parent. Did you know that program actually transformed me? And it
Mm,
improved my communication with my children. Now, because we are creators of experience and things we've been through, our background, my mom yelled a lot. And I didn't know that I automatically picked that characteristics and started yelling. But I did that program like over 3 years ago, and right now I don't yell. I speak to my children because the yelling does not resolve the problem, right? And at the end of the day, it creates a lot of tension, and even it will increase your high blood pressure. It's true as a parent. So I said, "So do you mean that? No. Do you mean that when they do something wrong, I should just be talking, 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 talking? Give them consequences. Let them have consequences for what they've done." I remember when I learned about giving children consequences, got a time my son had to tell me that, mommy, please, can you beat me? Because this consequences is more than beating me. And if you go that route, consequences is just whatever they have done, look for something that they would use to have to, pay back for what they have done. So, for example, no screen time after 9 p.m. And then you catch your son or your daughter on screen, maybe at about 12 midnight. Rather than yell and everything, just take away that screen and then ground them for the next one day. The whole of tomorrow, you're not going to watch anything on screen. How about that? It's more corrective. You did not have to beat, you did not have to shout. The child will learn better that, next time. There was a time I also, asked, my son to clean the house. I was just stepping. I just told him to clean just one room. I went and I came back. He didn't do anything. The consequence was then you will sweep the entire house. So he swept it. He was wailing and crying. No, I did not bail him out. The next time I went out and I told him, clean this place. Before I got back, it was when I did, Mommy, come and check, I've cleaned it. I didn't have to yell, and he learned better, and everyone is better for it. So I believe that
I
these
love, yeah.
responses have done justice to the question. Yeah, thank
Thank you, Dr. Toyin, for always coming through with a lot of insight on each topic. I just want our audience to know that communication is key, and communication is not only you receiving what you think and your intention. Also listen to the person you are talking to. Also listen to your child. Listen. I love to emphasize that a lot because African parents, I'm older. I've been to this. I'm in this world before you. So there is a lot of gap. There's a lot of gap in that aspect, especially in Africa. There's a lot of gap in communication. So I love the fact that we're able to clarify that communication is not just talking; it's also listening and letting your child be. Don't enforce what a child is not. If a child talks too much, try to understand. Oh, this is what you're supposed to do. Don't try to intimidate or don't try to change a child in a way that he or she is not. If you see some bad things, tend to do the necessary thing. But if it's when it comes to communication, try to communicate and I hope you get results. And because of this, we know we don't just talk. I said it earlier, we also offer help because communication is a broad topic. If we start, we can do 6, 7 episodes on communication, we didn't really touch on the body language parts. We didn't touch on the reading parts. We didn't touch on the
writing.
writing part. We touched on the listening, but the writing part we didn't. So we need a lot, and that's why book is something that it is essential for everyone to always have or always read, especially when there is a topic you don't really know much about. So, Dr. Toyin, I want you to talk about the books, the ebooks we have on communication for our audience, because I
Okay.
know that a lot of people want to know about that.
Okay, so it's very simple. Just it's like I said, it's a four series cutting across adults, teenagers, school age children, and preschoolers. So you want to get this four, and if you're getting it this week, because just like Bukola said, you're going to get the four for just 8,000. Now, if you're getting it after this week, you're going to get it for 24,000 naira. So you can see the whooping offer. So you don't want to miss this. Just comment, put in the comment section, I am interested. We'll also put a phone number that you can easily reach out to underneath this video. More importantly, you can just also search for Dr. Toyin Sam-Emehelu online. We are everywhere. You would see our social media handles. You can search for Core Skills Transformational Academy. And then, yes, you will be sure to get these ebooks. They are very powerful because you can destroy or build the life of your child. And even if you're not yet a parent, it's a very good time for you to learn this. And if you do have anything to do with children, you need to also learn it because, like they say, it takes a city to raise a child, or it takes a village Yes, to raise a child. You are an aunt, you are a sister, you are a grandmother. Maybe you're like, oh, I'm just getting to, oh, my children are grown. You can actually still leave a legacy in the life of your grandchildren. You are a teacher, a social worker, whatever it is, an NGO that work with children and all of that. But more importantly, even for yourself as an adult, you need to learn how to communicate well in different rooms, boardrooms, classrooms.
Mm.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
And conference rooms. Thank you.
We have a lot of aspects on communication, a lot of aspects, a lot of things you need to know about communication, because it is not just on listening. We already said a lot of it. So check our website, you see all the books we have in communication. Try and get one, even at least get one and read, because reading is something that you do forever. It's something that is important that you do forever. So I'm hoping to get a message from me to say, oh, I need all the four ebooks on communication. I'm sure this conversation should let you know that there is more deep insight on communication from this. So
Absolutely.
do well to get those ebook, and you will message me and thank me later. And Dr. Toyin, thank you so much for joining in on this episode of Positive Series with Dr. Toyin. We are looking forward to have you in our next episode. And don't forget to follow us on our social media platform, Positive Transformational Academy Limited, Dr. Toyin, Sam-Emehelu on social media platform. And if you want to also follow me, my name is Bukola.
Yes, to get food tips.
You can also follow me on all platforms. Thank you so much, and you have a wonderful day. Your children is your future, so do also communicate with them always. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Bukola. See you in the next episode.